Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta After Show Season 16, Episode 10.
I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all of the above. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's go, please.
So Angela and Drew said that Shamea told them to pinky promise not to say anything when she was talking about Porsha. Shamea said that Porsha, to clarify, came to her dowry and not her wedding. And she also didn't pinky swear with nobody. She didn't like how Angela brought up what was said. Shamea knows how she feels for Porsha, but if you're willing to allow the friendship to be attacked, then she does have to speak up about the hurtful things that happened in their friendship. Shamea didn't know that Porsha didn't come because they had issues, and Porsha said she was sick and not that they had issues back in the day.
What was your thoughts on that alone right there?
I guess the pinky promise thing is, I would choose to believe Angela, to be honest.
Okay.
So I kind of believe it, but even if that's not necessarily true, that's not a big thing. But Shamea, you've said enough for Angela to have some dirt.
Oh yeah.
So it was, even if it was Angela baiting you or people asking you questions, there was enough discussed that, you know what, there's something that I can use to stir the pot. Also, when it comes to Shamea saying that, well, if you're going to allow our friendship to be attacked, then I'm going to have to talk to you about the hurtful things. You could choose not to, like you've been doing. You could choose not to.
Come on, facts, Blair. Come on.
And let it die down if you really wanted to. But clearly, it was presented to you. You are a full-time peach holder, and you need to address what the big story is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even though Angela has her big spoon, the spoon doesn't have magic on it.
Right.
She didn't wave it in front of your face, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm going to spill my guts to Angela about my friendship. Let me share something, right? Blair is my wife. She just doesn't play my wife on YouTube. She's my wife in real life, right? So if this is a friendship or a relationship, as Shamia is over here talking about, something that needs to be protected, and if you're like, you know what, if you're not going to pick up your sword, I'm going to drop my sword, right? My thing is, if Blair is my wife, which she is, there's nothing you can talk to me about Blair, period. If you're a stranger, if you're outside of that friendship, if you're outside of that relationship. So my thing is, Shamia, you shared with Angela because you wanted to share with Angela. And maybe it was pressing on your heart. Maybe you was tired of it. You know, like I said, you have years and years and years of evidence or feeling this way of suppressing things. And maybe it just, the perfect moment just came out to where, you know what? I just want to spill my guts a little bit. But to Blair's point, you could have chosen to not say anything, but you chose not to say anything. And I don't want to put the blame on Angela as if she like tricked you into saying something. No. She just asked questions in the same way as people ask you questions before all the time, calling you a lapdog and basically calling you Porsha's assistant and things of that nature. You chose to basically turn the other cheek. Why not turn the other cheek this time?
And I guess my thing, too, is if Porsha's upset with you because of something she heard from Angela, and it has been things that you've already discussed, then why does it seem like Shamea's feelings are hurt?
Yeah.
You know, I get the simple fact of what she said of like, well, Porsha should have protected the friendship the way that I would have. But if you feel like you have said these things to Porsha directly already, then would have been like, Porsha, why are you acting like I never told you this?
Exactly.
We had these conversations before. Yes, you hurt my feelings, but we're fine now. And that could have been Shamea's response, but maybe it was more information presented to Porsha than Shamea may have wanted to be presented. Drew was talking about how when it came to her comment about PJ and paying for her college, she was just saying it's just another revenue stream for the kids' college to get paid. Okay. Shamea felt like it was a dig, so she defended Porsha.
Stop right there. Why? Was it a dig to your kid? No, really. Was it a dig to your kid? And this is the thing that is so interesting to me. She chose to defend Porsha in that moment while they was in that studio, right? Knowing that Porsha was trying to make up this story about Drew and Dennis basically being together, right? They do because they had the conversation in the first episode or the second episode inside Shamea's house, inside that nice closet, right? So in you knowing that Porsha is trying to basically cause some type of confusion amongst everybody to where it's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about my life, but instead, Drew, you over here talking about my baby daddy? In that moment, knowing that Porsha was doing that, you chose to pick up your sword to defend the friendship? See, my thing is, I don't mind you defending the friendship. I have no problem. I have friendships that I defend and things of that nature to where, like, you know what? You can't say nothing about my wife to me. You can't say nothing about my boys about me. You can't say nothing about my sister about me, right? But this wasn't something that was in my moment for you to stick your neck out. And the reason why I say that, because it's been proven that, hey, when you did stick your neck out, who threw her under the bus for basically not relaying the information correctly? Porsha.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, every time I try to defend the relationship, guess who comes against me? The one that I'm defending.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, in this little moment where Drew didn't even say it in a mean way and things like that, even if Drew did say it in a mean way, you know that Porsha is over here trying to put a lie on Drew, talk about you sleeping with my baby daddy. But in that moment, you was like, I'm going to defend Porsha. You should have just stayed to yourself, because the dig wasn't even that much of a big of a deal for you to even put your name on anything like that.
But I feel like Shamia tends to be caught between a rock and a hard place with Porsha. I feel like if she didn't defend her and the comment was made, Porsha might have looked at her and said, you let her talk about my daughter? Because you know that's what Porsha was going around saying. Drew talked about her daughter.
That is true.
So I feel like Shamia can't win for losing when it comes to this lady. And so to me, I'm just like, well, Shamia, if you can't win for losing, then just stop.
Then lose. Listen, there's nothing wrong with losing, right? And when I say lose, I mean lose that friend, right?
Yeah.
Because I really don't understand, and maybe I don't really understand the whole in and outs of women being friends and things like that. How are you gonna be mad at me for when I didn't say it? Like, I did not say it. So it's like, let's move on, because I'm gonna come back to that later on. Let's move on.
So we get to the side baby comment with when Kelli and Britt were talking about Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Kelli apparently said, you're going to end up like me. And Angela said, Charles is nothing like her ex-husband, and she cannot relate to whatever Kelly's gone through.
Well,
her husband does not have a side baby. She clarifies for the 11th time. My thing with Kelli, that's kind of crazy to use yourself as like the the example of what you don't want to be, especially after your daughter said, I don't want to be nothing like you, mom. But when it comes to, Angela, I really like how she handles the ladies. She addressed it. I don't have a side baby, and I cannot relate to your situation, Kelli. Sorry for what you're going through, ma'am.
Now here's the thing about it. Do we believe Charles have a side baby on Angela? It's to the point where y'all are trying to make it bigger than what we really care for. Right. For one, Angela is not, she's a rookie, right? She's a newbie on this season. So there's not enough history, there's not enough background for us to even care about even their current relationship at that, him having a side baby.
Exactly. Whether he does or he doesn't. I mean, I'm just getting to know this lady.
I'm about to say, it's like, it's
I don't know.
They all new to me.
Exactly.
So if he did have a side baby, I would say, so what? This is very different than someone who may be, someone who is a reoccurring person that come on the show. We know the spouses. Look, if Britt husband had a side baby, we wouldn't even care either.
No,
because it's like, I don't know him.
Yeah,
I don't know the baby. So that's why I'm like, they're trying to make this an Angela story, and I'm like, y'all should have saved this information if y'all feel like y'all had it for after this season. Once we got to know them and see them and how they operate in a marriage. Now that we actually seen Charles' personality, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a side baby, and it wouldn't surprise me if Angela forgave him and things like that.
The only time it ever really surprised me and I was interested when a reality person had a side baby was Kirk and Rashida. Because it happened on the show. Then they brought the baby mom on the show. Yeah. It was a lot. And it was after they had been together for a while. And I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. But if it happened before I met y'all, then I guess y'all got a side baby. Exactly. I don't know what to say.
But here's the thing. But here's the catch-22 with that, right? Yeah. As quickly as we cared about that Kirk and Rashida thing,
we got over it.
Now we got over it quickly. Now it's almost like we don't even care about like seeing them on camera, because it's like, Rashida, you ain't leaving that man.
Exactly. It is what it is.
It is what it is. So it's like, who cares if Charles had a side baby on Angela? What we care about is bring your daughter back on screen, Miss Angela.
Yeah,
because I want to know the mess with the family of why grandmama and why auntie over here calling your daughter a demon baby. I need to know the in and outs of that.
Now that we know that she is married to a woman, you think it's because she's a lesbian?
Yep.
And that's why they did it? Okay.
I was hoping you didn't ask me the question, but I ain't gonna lie. Yep. Yeah. I think here's the thing about it. The LGBTQ community, one thing that they taught us, right, which is very different than heterosexuals, is even though I'm a heterosexual guy, I don't identify like my sexuality with my identity.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So my identity is not motivated by my sexual preference compared to the LGBTQ. So I don't know how the daughter was acting. I don't know what was her motivations and things like that. That's why when I hear words like that Angela said in the sense of it was something out of rebellion. I'm like, what is she rebelling against?
Yeah.
The maybe the normality of what you thought that's like supposed to happen in like structure.
In her life,
you know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, rebellion. No.
And grandma calling her a demon.
I'm like, I need more.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Who cares about Charles? But let's keep going.
Yeah. So Porsha said that Drew was trying to sleep with Dennis, and Porsha is talking about Drew isn't even competition to her, and Drew seems like an opportunist. I think that speaks more to you, Porsha, than it does to Drew, because I don't think Drew's trying to compete with you.
No.
I really don't.
I'm like, hold on. Are we talking about ourselves?
And are we competing for Dennis? You already had him, and you can't keep him.
But he
wants to be free.
But here's what she's really saying, right? She is not talking about Drew and Dennis in the sense of them being together. She thinks everything revolves around her.
Yeah.
She's thinking like, you know what? Drew want to get with Dennis to basically come for me. And I'm just like, I don't know how you made Drew's situation, her making her album, her getting her song produced by Dennis, about you. And I'm just like, when you really think about it, if Drew wasn't on this season, like just the idea, because I know you're not a big fan of Drew being on the show, right?
I just want her to show up to places on time.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. The idea that Drew, you are really riding the coattails of Drew, Porsha Williams, or Porsha, what is her last name? Because I don't know how to pronounce it.
Gubadia.
That one, right? Mm-hmm. Porsha G, right? Mm-hmm. You're riding the coattails of Drew for a storyline? Mm-hmm. What if Drew wasn't on the show? Because she basically is not on the show. Like, whenever Drew show up on a scene, I'll be totally forgetting that she's there because she's late, as Blair point, or she's basically telling us, the judge say we can't say that we're divorced. So it's like, so that's why I'm like, what if Drew wasn't on the show? What would be your storyline?
I think co-parenting with Dennis, because she ain't talking about Simon.
So like that's why I'm like, yeah, Porsha, you're really just talking about yourself. You're the opportunist, really. Yeah.
Shamea said that Ralph seemed like he was concerned about the romantic link between Dennis and Drew. We get the flashback of the dinner, and Ralph said that he thought that Drew was messing with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So this goes to show that Shamea also relays stories incorrectly.
Oh yeah.
Just like her bestie.
It's in her, not on her.
Shamea wants to support Drew but thinks that she went about things the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And Drew says that she does not want Dennis. Honestly, I'm trying to think, should Drew have done this differently? They both told Porsha that they were working together. Yeah. I think that Drew could have done better with texting Porsha saying, hey, we're planning on filming together. Is that okay with you? Mm-hmm. But if you don't care, if it's okay with her because Dennis isn't her husband, mm-hmm. then you shouldn't really need to ask, honestly. Yeah, yeah. And if y'all really aren't that close. But could she have been a bit more courteous about it? Sure. Yeah. At the same time, she says she tried calling Porsha. Porsha didn't pick up the phone. And is it on Drew to make sure she gets Porsha the information, or is it on Porsha to make sure she communicates with people?
Here's the thing. You ain't wrong when you're right, Blair. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody's right in this situation. And everybody is wrong in this situation.
I feel like Porsha just wants the issue.
Right? Mm-hmm. There is, and I said it in the beginning of the season, there is something strange arranged about, hey, you're filming with my baby daddy. Like that's my family.
Get your own people.
Even though, because truth be told, if Drew didn't have this storyline either, she can't even film with Ralph, really. You get what I'm saying? The fact that they was outside, I was like, oh, I didn't know that y'all could do this. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So all of y'all is basically hanging on for a storyline. So let me give Porsha a little bail to get out of jail. It is strange arranged that, hey, you are filming with my baby daddy, right? I can't even film in my house, but you get to film with my baby daddy, right? So if they are editing and cutting a scene, there's a possibility that they can see Drew and Dennis And then in the next scene, you see Porsha and Dennis, right? That makes me look bad. That makes the show look bad. I can see it from that perspective, right? I can also see it from the perspective of when you telling me inside Shamia's dressing room in that first episode, you talking about Dennis is really an angel for me, an angel that saved my life or like whatever she did. She said something across those lines, right? And I'm like, that sounds more than a producer. That sounds more than a working relationship. You get what I'm saying? Especially since Dennis and Ralph are friends and things of that nature, or at least they know each other, right? Acquaintances. Now let's flip it on his head. So I gave Porsha enough bail out of jail. Porsha told Drew exactly what to do when it comes to reaching out to her, and Drew did it, and you chose not to have that conversation.
Yeah, you chose not to pick up the phone. You didn't want to meet with her. You didn't want to talk to her.
So let's take what she does with Drew, and I'm like, oh, if this is what you do with Drew, which you don't really care for, you don't really even know Drew, I can only imagine what you do with your real friends when it comes to accountability, having tough conversations and things like that. So I know you ain't talking to Shamea. Mm-hmm. Now, to talk about Shamea over here, Shamea, you need to stop being a bone collector for Porsha. When things don't involve you, it doesn't involve you. Like it just
now
that,
she picking and choosing her fights for Porsha.
Exactly. So it makes no sense, right? So that's why I'm saying that I kind of don't feel bad for Shamea sometimes, because in certain instances like this, I can see, oh, birds of a feather kind of flock together. Y'all kind of like two sides of the same coin. I think I said it right this time.
That is correct.
Thank you. Right. I always get it wrong. I always add another coin to it. And it's like, but I'm like, why are you deciding to put a voice to it, right? Everybody in that room don't got to say nothing, but you got to say something. So that's why I'm like, I can see it from everybody's perspective.
So they move on to Charles' infidelity.
Oh yeah. Also,
go ahead.
Drew did say, and listen here, I don't think it was shade towards Dennis. I don't think Dennis should feel some type of way. She basically said, look, I got a type. Dennis not really my body type. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Now you got me over here insulting how my producer look. You get what I'm saying? Because I got to convince y'all I don't want to sleep with Dennis. Listen, Ralph said it in the episode. He said, it was Ty. You get what I'm saying? It was another woman. So it's like, I think Ralph didn't look concerned. I think he looked confused.
Yeah.
About like, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to my brother, but that's not really her type, you know what I mean? But it is what it is.
So they talk about Charles' infidelity.
Okay.
Angela married someone famous, and it came with a lot, which was women. She didn't expect him to need so much time to cut his single ways when they first got married, but he did. They did get separated after the Madison Square Garden thing. Mm-hmm. He was humiliated, and he was relying on outside people to make him feel good about himself.
Okay.
When she had their baby, that's also when he was outside seeking this validation from strangers. She was fighting the women at first, saying he was married, but then she told him that he needed to find himself and figure it out.
Yeah, here's the thing about it, right? You might as well just come straight out and just say, yeah, Charles is a cheater, right? Because there's no defending that. Like they'll go try to use it against you eventually as they trying to use this side baby, right? Now, when it came down to her saying that, you know, I married a famous person, Charles was long retired. Mm-hmm. Charles Oakley, right? So he must have been famous to people who must have watched him in the 80s. But during that time, even though he's I wouldn't say he's an A-list celebrity, but like
she said he was known. He's known.
He's known, kind of. He's not Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. He's not Scottie Pippen. You get what I'm saying? He's more like if you know basketball.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, him getting kicked out of Madison Square Garden as a guest, those were not the reasons why he cheated on you and things like that. No, he cheated on you because he's a cheater. She kind of said it without saying it. It came with the territory of him just being known. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Him being known, guess what? To some women, he's a lick to where, you know what? I'm going to sleep with him. Maybe he can support my life. You know, it just came what it is. All this seeking outside validation, sure. But I took it as, you know what, Charles, he had some money. He had some type of, you know, being famous a little bit. Women wanted to sleep with him because he's Charles Oakley, a C+, B- celebrity. You get what I'm saying?
And for me, with Angela, I'm glad she ended up telling at least what appears to be the whole story to us now.
Yeah.
So that way we can stop talking about it. It's really nothing more to talk about.
Yeah, because we're not really even invested in Charles like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So Drew talks about how she is not in love with Ralph anymore. She wants her family and her husband, but he hasn't matured to where he needs to be in order for them to be together.
Okay.
Kelli was throwing shade at Angela's property, and Angela wanted to show off the house to Kelli since she had so much trash to say at the Bailey Q. Mm-hmm. Kelli felt like the house just wasn't put together and it wasn't the house for her. Mm-hmm. Angela I don't know if she said it or if we said it while we were talking, but couldn't you afford it? You doing all this talking about something that you can you or can you not afford it?
Talk about Kelli.
Yes. So Shamia met with Ralph. She talked about how she wanted to get some tea, and she says, "Why not? This is what the group does." Not exactly.
No. Stop it. You see, look, this.
Not exactly.
This is why you got to get the tea for Porsha.
Let Porsha do it.
Right? This is what the group does. How come you couldn't get tea any other way? How come you couldn't get the tea when it came to Kenya and Britt? How come you couldn't get the tea when it come to Angela by herself? But you got to get the tea in defense of Porsha. How come all your stances are with Porsha? So don't make it seem like this is what, you know what? This is what the group does. Then be a leader.
Yeah.
Stand out and don't do it. You get what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I'm not trying to give her no bail to get out of jail. I just want to hold her a little bit. I'm not trying to put her in jail. But she keep saying these things and really showing how she thinks. And like, I'm like, you don't really think too far off from Porsha. Like saying you're smarter than Porsha, I don't know if that's even a compliment. You get what I'm saying? I'm just like, you're rational or basically your rationale in this situation right here makes no sense to me. Like, hey, I just went to get the tea because you know what? That's what the group does. I didn't see nobody else caring about Drew and Dennis.
Right.
Literally, no one.
So Ralph said that he proposed to her within 3 months of knowing each other.
Yeah.
They got married at 5 months. She was pregnant at 8 months. And he said he really didn't have an opportunity to get to know her. For me, when men say stuff like this, it's really irritating to me because you asked that woman to marry you.
Pretty much.
So now that years have passed, you want to say, well, I wasn't ready. I didn't get a chance to know her, all this type of stuff. That's on you. That's on you. And and I feel like when it comes to him being married, making that commitment to her and having not just that baby, but they had other babies afterward.
Fact.
Is like, so what are you doing to actually get to know her? You didn't know her when you first met her, but y'all was together for how many years?
Yeah.
So when did the tide actually start to turn, you know?
Yeah.
So
as a married man on the other side of marriage, or basically it's like, how can I put it? Unless they were kids, this is a good excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was forced to marry someone at 15, which nobody is. Like it makes no sense. Adult make adult decisions, right? And when it comes to marriage, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Even though I did not marry Blair immediately when I saw her, right, and things of that nature, right, I can now, on the other side of marriage, be like, oh, I could have got married sooner, because it's like she's gonna change, married or not. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to change, married or not. The whole thing about it is just say you are a man of commitment or not. That's all it is, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, right? If I knew Blair any less than I know her now, at the end of the day, my commitment still shouldn't change. If I can make the commitment, as Blair said, no one made you marry her and things like that. If I go and get the ring and I propose, I'm making a commitment to myself first.
Yeah.
That I'm going to stick this out with the person I'm proposing to. Then it comes to the person I'm committing to. So a lot of times people try to put it off as if we didn't know each other. No. Just say you're a man that don't keep your word. And I'm talking about outside of infidelity. If she's the type or if he's the type to where they are stepping out of the commitment, there's only so much you can do and when it comes to trying to fix and repair the relationship.
Yeah.
But this whole thing of I didn't know her, guess what? I knew Blair as a girlfriend. I'm getting to know Blair as a wife. And those are two different entities to me. So that's why I'm like, this whole thing of I didn't know, just say you're not a committed person. You're committed to yourself, and that's it.
So she does empathize with Drew because Ralph didn't look great in their relationship, but Drew also lies. Drew said that she despises liars. One girl said it, now everybody believes she's a liar. Ralph said that Drew had an affair with Ty during their relationship.
Drew, we caught you lying a good number of times. We're not calling you a liar because we heard one person say it and now we're just over here repeating. We heard you literally say that, you know, Michael Jordan is my cousin. And then when like the person who actually knows Michael Jordan, Charles Oakley and things of that nature, can confirm or deny. Yeah. Right. You're like, girl, you know, I was joking. Now here's the thing about it. Why your jokes is based in lies? Yeah. Why can't it just be a joke? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So, Drew, we heard you lie. Even this whole idea of you saying I can't tell my children because the judge says so, I think that's a lie. I never heard that before. But because my thing is, how can the judge confirm that you told them or didn't tell them in your own household? Yeah. So, like, that's why I'm like, Drew, you're a liar. And it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it for that. So there was something at the beginning of Watch What Happens Live.
Help me.
did my notes split a little bit?
Okay, so listen, watch what happened live first, right? Then watch this video, then go back to watch what happened live.
Okay, so Shamia said that she does not have a baby on the way with the surrogate.
She said she doesn't?
Does not.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's asked, why did Shamia act like Angela was overreacting when it came to Porsha saying that she would sleep with Charles? And Shamia said, look, I have 2 daughters. Porsha is not my daughter. She's my friend. And you check her if you feel a way about it.
Yeah.
She says you can't keep a man that doesn't want to be kept, and she feels the same way for her husband. If he wants to leave and be with somebody else, then that's on him.
That's what Shamia said.
She didn't say that when Marlo had what she had to say. But, maybe Shamia feels differently now.
Here's my thing about it. How you have this whole I don't care attitude, or it comes off as like, what it is when it comes to the people who are actually the core people of your family. But when it comes to Porsha, you got to grab that sword and grab that shield. Like, it's my husband. It is what it is. Let him do what he wants. But with Porsha, it's like, I got to defend Porsha when Drew says something that wasn't even disrespectful about PJ. It just comes off as in, like, maybe you need to choose your fights better.
Yeah.
But there's something off about the situation. And we going to get down to it, hopefully, at the reunion, where things usually come out. Hopefully we get down to it. Now I have a question. Now this is it's not a big question, but
before you ask your question,
go ahead.
When it did do the preview of Porsha and Shamia sitting down,
yeah.
I'm really hoping that we can get some information from that sit down. But to me, it looks like Porsha is not capable.
No, Porsha wouldn't.
I don't think she's capable of really having that conversation with Shamia. She's over here huffing and puffing, talking about it's uncomfortable. Talk to your friend. Listen to what she has to say. Like, what is so hard about this? I really don't get it.
Here's the thing about it, right? Do you think, this is my question, do you think the drama of Shamia and Porsha, of their friendship, in a good way overshadowed the Kenya and Britt thing? Meaning, like, basically, like, we have something else to latch onto the season?
Yeah, because we can't drag the Kenya and Britt situation out. Kenya's not even here to defend herself. We don't have her confessionals. So it's really no point to really drag that into the ground. So I'm glad that there is something else to talk about. I felt like the girls were trying to get Angela to be the thing to talk about. Yeah. And Angela said, okay, I'll lay all my cards out on the table. Now let's move on to you.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
And I do feel like that's more interesting because that is something that we've watched throughout the years, the imbalance of the friendship, and this is something I actually want to know more about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
We need you to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see y'all next time.
Bye.